And here we are once again. I'm Mary Gabrielson. I'm your minister here at Unity Center, Milwaukee. And it's always a pleasure and a joy to welcome you to our Sunday celebration and any other time you want to come by because there are things going on again. Isn't that exciting? It is to me anyway. Uh, let's be about our spiritual business as we begin with our statement of faith. There's only one presence, one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotence. The affirmation for our center. Thank you, God, that we have come to this place to release the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the future in love, peace, harmony, and prosperity. Our prayer for racial healing. We are here because we care. We are here because you care. We are here because I care. Let me be the peace and act the peace. Let us move our hearts to the highest and best of us and focus on racial healing for self, others, and the world. In unity and through the name of Christ. Amen. This is the opportunity in our prayer service when we lift up prayer requests that have been made through the week. And so I invite you to join me in an attitude of prayer as we begin. Today, I affirm that God breathed through me, and knowing this truth, I easily tap into wisdom. The wisdom of source of the universe flows through and as me. And in each moment of my life, I pause to remind myself of this truth. During moments of fear, the wisdom of God flows through me, and I bring peace to the situation. During moments of confusion, the wisdom of God flows through me, and I am equipped to know what to do. During moments of unknowing, the wisdom of God flows through me, and I take the necessary actions. And so it is. And so we've had prayer requests for healing. And we affirm that the healing is God is the life energy in every breath that you breathe. As you breathe, this life energy continually fills and renews you. Prayers for employment. The way is now open for you to use your God-given talents and abilities to expand and enrich your life and the lives of others. Prayers for peace of mind. The indwelling Spirit of God expresses light, life, love, power, and peace. The peace of God satisfies me. I experience the joy of living. Prayers for guidance. The Lord of my being blesses me with divine intelligence. I am directed to my good. Prayers for overcoming. I persevere and prevail. Divine power within sustains me and drives me forward. I am greater than anything I may be going through. Prayers for creativity. I am the creator of my life's path. My thoughts are powerful, and I create my world. Therefore, I think the best and expect the best at all times. And finally, prayers for harmony. God's love is the greatest power in the universe. I use this power of love to harmonize all my relationships and affairs. I am grateful for all of these prayer requests and for the many prayers that are held in the hearts and minds of others. We know that God is at work in each and every situation, and for this we give thanks. And so it is. Amen. I've asked Sandy Krause to read our daily word.
Pray for others with mind and heart. I know the truth for each person I hold in prayer. A friend, someone said, knows the truth for you until you know it for yourself. Praying for friends, family, members, and those I haven't met, I center my awareness in the truth that each for whom I pray is a living expression of God, just as I am. Letting go of fear, I release thoughts of lack, illness, disharmony, or any limitation. I see each person for whom I pray abundantly blessed. I see each one warmed and comforted by divine love that lifts their hearts and brings harmony to their relationships. I affirm their abundant living guided by divine love, wisdom, and understanding. I see each life unfolding in perfect divine order, enjoying security, health, and joy. I will pray with the spirit, but I will pray with the mind also. I will sing praise with the spirit, but I will sing praise with the mind also. 1 Corinthians.
Thank you, Sandy. We're going to be blessed by a musical treat from our own troubadour, Kevin Reger.
Thank you. So about 20 years ago, when that movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou came out, I just loved so many of those songs, and some of them I had heard for the first time. And when I heard Sunny Side, it just blew me away. And I decided to write a little homage to it myself. So I wrote this song. It's called A Change in Attitude. Just a change of attitude, to one of gratitude, be thankful for the things that come your way. Just a change of attitude, to one of gratitude, you can chase those cares of yours away. The world is full of fears, the toll of passing years, the slights and slurs that each of us must bear. But we can use our heads, we can learn to trust instead, and dedicate our lives to show we care, care, care. With just a change of attitude, to one of gratitude, be thankful for the things that come your way. Just a change of attitude, to one of gratitude, you can chase those cares of yours away. done it all. The triumphs and the falls, the struggles that can show us how to grow. When the day is through and we've done all we can do, we can give it up and let it go, go, go. With just a change of attitude, do one of gratitude, be thankful for the things that come your way. Just a change of attitude, do one of gratitude, you can chase those cares of yours away. Life has got you down, troubles all around, when the weight upon your shoulders weighs a ton. Try to be a friend, find a helping hand to lend. You can send those troubles on and run, run, run. With just a change of attitude, to one of gratitude, be thankful for things that come your way. Just a change of attitude, to one of gratitude, you can chase those cares of yours away. You can chase those cares of yours away.
Aw, thank you, Kevin. In case you couldn't tell, I'm a real fan of that harmonica. And I trust that you'll tell me if I'm off center with the camera. So we are exploring change this month, and it's always fun. We're using the book by Neil Donald Walsh called When Everything Changes, Change Everything. The subtitle is In a Time of Turmoil, A Pathway to Peace. Is that even possible? Yeah, it is. The answer is a resounding yes. Our teachings, when practiced, give us a pathway to peace during times of turmoil. And the key word in the sentence, of course, is practice or practiced. Yes. So the title of our message today is Flow with Change. Just say that with me. Flow with change. Let's make it personal. I flow with change. Together, I flow with change. I'd never know it by that. That was kind of weak. Let's get a little more, okay? Having people in the chapel means that you get to respond. This is not a spectator sport. It's participatory. So I flow with change. Oh, thank you. Thank you for humoring me. So I see we have a precious package in that back row. Who is that little darling? Oh, hi, Violet. You are precious beyond words. We're so happy to have you with us. And just so everybody knows, God loves the sound of children in church. So babies are God's special blessing. So the Chinese have this expression. It's a proverb, I guess you say. When the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. Some people build walls and others build windmills. Now, which do you think I want you to do? Windmills. Use the energy. Use the energy. So change is coming, and it's coming really fast. If you notice that change seems to be coming faster and faster, it's not because you're getting another year older. It's because technology bombards us on all fronts. And even if you don't turn on your TV or your computer, you're still going to get the news because it's blaring at the gas pump. Have you noticed that? Oh my stars, did they think we're going to miss 5 minutes? The first time I did that, I went, where is that coming from? I know I don't have my radio on. I would never have it on the news, but it was the gas pump. So whether you subscribe to a newspaper or not, you're still going to get it. You're going to get it. There was a new young preacher, and I love this guy because I've been there in his shoes. And he is early in his first assignment, and he is really pumped up about the message that day, and he's going along fine. And all of a sudden, his brain hits a plateau and he goes blank. I mean, his memory is like nothing. And then he has a little blip of light that says, remember what you learned in seminary. If your mind should ever go blank, like it would never happen, if it should ever go blank, repeat the last thing you said. Well, he'd been talking about Jesus, and he had remembered that he'd said this phrase, Jesus is saying, behold, I come quickly. And he goes, I'll repeat that. So he goes, behold, I'll come quickly. He thought, well, maybe I should say it again. So he goes, behold, I come quickly. And he did it with such enthusiasm. He knocks over the lectern. He falls off the dais into the lap of this sweet little lady sitting in the front row. And he is apologizing and apologizing. And she says, well, it's okay, preacher. You told us 3 times you were coming. I should have moved. The problem with that is moving is a little bit like building a wall. But don't you kind of wish that change would announce itself like that instead of just creeping in and messing up your day so you don't have any clue about what's going on? But it's not always that way. And so we're here today because we're learning to lift up, let's see, how do I say? So we want to come at change from a higher perspective, from a higher viewpoint. And that's what we're about today. Do you remember when I talked about Aikido, and I talked about, we had a whole series on mastery because it was based on an Aikido master's book. Anyways, so in Aikido, the cool thing about that is it is the one martial art that is not focused on violence. And you could say, well, that's an oxymoron. Martial art, come on. But it's not ever about attack. Aikido is about if you have someone attack you, if there is that energy coming at you, it's about how to use that energy with such grace and style. Never 2 of my strong suits. Such grace and style that you not only save the attacker from being hurt, but you save yourself from being hurt. So it's really about an art that you learn, an art that you learn to take the energy that's coming at you, protect the other person and yourself. So it's about taking the winds of change that are coming at us fast and furious sometimes, probably things that we would never have asked for ourselves, and then using that energy to transform it into something better. Change does not announce itself. And yet we know it's coming, and it's coming faster and faster. So our whole series is about using that energy to catapult ourselves into an evolution in consciousness, into something better, So last week, how many of you were here last week? A few. Okay. So what was the biggest issue about change last week? Probably the biggest issue was my wardrobe. What did you think about coming into a service, having me look like a minister in a minister's clergy robe and stole? You rolled with it. There you go, Linda. Except that I got really hot and I had to take it off and go back to just being in street clothes. But well, I had forgotten. I don't wear a robe that much. And I remember back to Hawaii, and you always just wear your nice undergarments under a robe because it's so hot. But anyway, it was that idea that we would have a communal experience of change and to see what that was like. So one person talked with me later in the week, and I asked her, well, what did you think? She said, well, I was a little irritated, thinking, well, what's the big deal? What's going on here? And she said, but by the end of the service, she realized that she had modified her opinion on change. She realized that before the service, she had kind of held an attitude, maybe a little cavalier attitude, that it doesn't really bother me or it doesn't affect me. She shared that she realized she was probably a pain in the neck. I cleaned that up. To the people around her because of her attitude. And then she said by the end of the talk, and as she thought about it during the week, she said, I realized I loved it because I decided I had been a little, this is her words, a little self-righteous, thinking I knew how to deal with change. And then I realized that by the feelings that came up, no, I have some work to do. Now we're on the phone, but if we'd been face to face, I'd have hugged her. I just said, I love you. I did say it on the phone, but because for a minister to have somebody get what you're talking about is like the biggest gift in the world. So to be able to see yourself without your filters up, to be able to identify your feelings, and then the fact that she could see where she had some room to grow just made my day. It just made my day. So it's kind of like that old saying about ministers. They say a minister's job is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. It's about making people think. It's about making people think. So change, we know that our thoughts give rise that to creating certain emotions within us. And those are the feelings that we hold about change. But Walsh, the author, says something deeper. He says, we need to go deeper than that. We need to go deeper and figure out that those thoughts, where are they coming from? Those thoughts that are triggering emotion or causing emotion, where do they come from? Walsh says, and I'm going to use his terminology, the thoughts come from your inner truth, small I, small t, not your divine self, okay? When he describes what that is, he's describing the story that we have bought into about ourselves. He's talking about a story that we've gotten from prior data. So where did the prior data come from? Well, all sorts of places. It came from our families of origin. It came from our friends. It came from our culture, from our teacher, from the music we listen to, maybe from the environment, the entertainment that we watch, certainly from many sources. So we get prior data, whether we're asking for it or not. Have you ever noticed that? You get a lot of input that you didn't ask for. And we even get it from culture. Now, this is something I am admitting, and I'm not sure that I should, but anyway, that's part of the story. So there is a thing that's common to Scandinavian people in a very large part, and I think it's common to a lot of Germanic people as well. And I'm going to say this, okay, the expression in Swedish is jantelagen. Jantelagen, for those of you that speak Swedish. Jantelagen, there you go. So don't you know it? Don't you know it? Yeah, you betcha. So what it's about is, it literally translated, it's like saying the history of me or the law of me. So what is it about? Not necessarily a really good thing, because what happens is it's about, if you take the literal translation, it's, well, who do you think you are? Not everybody was raised with that, but I'm a Dane and my husband's a Norwegian, and let me tell you, we both got a lot of that. You are never, the idea is that culturally, you're never going to brag or boast. You're never going to express, hardly, let alone claim, your own divine magnificence. It's an idea of kind of keeping you in your place. And it's not so great. It's not so great. And if you have a large family like I do, I had 5 brothers ahead of me. So basically I had 6 dads always telling me what was wrong with me, never what was right. And it wasn't a great way to grow up. Mark was the baby of his family, and it was not a happy baby of the family experience for him either. So does anybody know about Garrison Keillor and the Tales from Lake Wobegon? Okay. Mark and I think that's hysterical. We laugh hysterically tears running down our faces. For a period of time when we were in Hawaii, we could hear it every week, like Woebegone on PBS. And we would just die laughing practically. It was just so funny to us. And the thing that Garrison Keillor does is he talks a lot about the Scandinavian people, and he kind of focuses on those of the Lutheran tribes. But he talks about them in a way that is very factual, that they're self-deprecating. They never express their heart's desire. They always give in and give up. They're reluctant to accept any praise whatsoever. They negate their own desires. They often put themselves down, keep them in their place. So we went back to visit on the family in Minnesota, which we usually went for a month in the summertime. And we wanted to listen to our program. So we did. Not one of them cracked a smile. In fact, I think they were irritated. And then they got up and walked out and left us by ourselves listening to the program. And then we started feeling guilty because we were laughing. I digress. The problem is, and we know this metaphysically, our thoughts, our story become the lens through which we see the world, through which we interpret life. They become the lens through which we see opportunities, through which we look at challenges, through which we look at our problems. They are the lens. So, for example, if someone important, like say your dad, told you that, you're pretty much average, we're pretty much an average family. Nobody in our bloodline has ever done anything famous or great. We don't have real high expectations for you. And, if anything happens, well, it's just probably because, you're a mess up like the rest of us. So what happens? Through no fault of our own, the economy changes. We experience a layoff from our work. See, Dad was right. I must be the screw up. I must be the one. Our spouse or our partner leaves us. Well, yeah, Dad was right. That's about it. And it feeds on itself. Can we do anything about that? Oh my gosh, that was like pulling the hen's teeth. Can we do anything about that? You darn right, darn tootin'. It took you a while. Yes, is the right answer. Walsh says, and sometimes I find him hard to follow, but he says, there's a third reality going on at all times. There's a third reality. And this is what he says about it. I'm going to read it because I messed it up when I paraphrase. There's a reality going on that is higher than your inner truth. Remember, small I, small t. And higher than the events you are experiencing. So pay attention to the third reality. It can so affect your life that you will never have to endure emotional turmoil ever again. That's a pretty big claim. But this is the third reality. This is where Buddha lived. This is where Christ resided. This is where all the true masters live. It was the home of Yogananda, the home of the Dalai Lama. It's where you'll find Thich Nhat Hanh and Western masters, Stephen Levine, Eckhart Tolle, and Mary O'Malley. They all live or lived in the third reality, which is the realization, that what you think is going on and what you think about what you think is going on is not really going on. I'll repeat that. Not because I know what's coming next, but yeah, I will repeat it. So in the realization, what we think is going on and what we think about what we think is going on is not really what's going on. So to simplify that, I always call it the God agenda. And I've called the God agenda that for a long time. It's how we look at things, but from a different level. That are anything that's happening, we may look at it and say that it's happening for a particular reason, or worst case, no reason at all that we can understand. But using the terminology, the God agenda, instead of saying the third reality, shows us that there's something underneath whatever appears to be happening, something that is meant to move us forward, meant to evolve us and grow us. Then Walsh goes on to say, because it's meant to evolve us and meant to grow us, we can change that inner truth by believing that all change is good. We can change that inner truth by believing all change is good. Hard to swallow? Yeah, it is for me. And yet I know in my heart of hearts, if I go back to what I have learned previously, every change is for my highest and best good, regardless of how it looks at the moment. It is for my highest and best good. That may not be the best grammar, but you get it. So he points to nature, as most ecological biologists do, and he says every living organism grows and evolves according to its environment. And if it doesn't, what happens? It dies. It dies. And as it grows and evolves, it always grows to a deeper complexity and a greater sophistication. That's the way life is designed to be, to move forward, to move upward, turning. I always think of life as kind of like being on a spiral, because you meet some things again and again until you get them. But life is changing, and the flow that changes us and the changes that are happening in our lives personally, the changes that are happening in the world at an accelerated pace, it helps us to grow and expand, to accept them. It's not going to serve us like that one woman I talked about before. I think I spoke about her last week. She came in, she took a look, and she said, I'll be back next week. Well, she didn't come back, but that certainly was not building windmills. I mean, that idea to walk in, see change, and say, I'm done. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to play in this. We need to be able to go into it headlong. We need to go to it directly and trust that the third reality or the God agenda is going on. And that if we stay with it, we will realize what that agenda is. The same as that Chinese proverb. When the winds of change blow, some people build walls and some people build windmills. The choice is up to us, always. Is it not? So Walt suggests that we change our idea about the purpose of change. And this is what he writes. We've been viewing change as a disruption, a break in the flow, a shift in direction, an alteration of our lives. I need to get a drink, excuse me. I don't want to glug in my microphone. He says we've been viewing change as a disruption, a break in the flow, a shift in direction, an alteration of our lives. Well, have you ever viewed change as a disruption? Oh, hell yes. Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever look at it as a disruption? Of course we do. I look at the whole last year as a disruption. I mean, from the beginning on, we had so many great things going on here. Dennis was doing shamanic drumming and meditation. Excuse me. Anna started a dance group. The gardening folks were going great guns. We had programs and speakers and all of that gone. Worst of all, you guys were gone. But he continues and he says, we've been viewing change as a break in the flow, a shift in direction, an alteration in our lives. But change is not a disruption. Hang on. Rather, an eruption. I think that's good. Life is erupting into fuller bloom. Change is not breaking the flow. It is the flow. Oh, darn. Change is not a shift in direction. It is the direction. Change is not an alteration in the condition or circumstances of our lives. It is the circumstances and the conditions of our lives. So what does it mean? It means that the layoff I experienced is not because I was a mess up. It's rather happening so that I have a freer opportunity, a freer life to live a fuller, more purpose driven way of contributing and being blessed with abundance in my life. The separation, the divorce is not happening in my relationship status so I can be miserable and never experience love again, but rather it's happening so I can have a fuller, richer, more beautiful, and more meaningful relationship in my life. The health challenge is not happening to punish me. It's happening to me because I am worthy of being whole, healthy, and full of vitality. It's the catalyst that awakens me to the changes I need to make on the inner and in the outer. It's a way to quicken the life force within me. Change for the better. You can read that a couple of ways. Change, comma, for the better, or change for the better. Change for the better. Alan Cohen wrote in his book, A Daily Dose of Spirituality, nothing happens in a vacuum. Everything leads to something else. What appears to be a setback or a loss may just be one event or a string of events that leads to something more rewarding than a single upsetting event. Do not resent the event that moves you out of your comfort zone, especially when your comfort zone is not all that comfortable. Anybody identify with that? The universe is always responding to your subconscious desires and intentions. This is a really important line. Ask yourself this: what might an unexpected or upsetting change be moving me toward my greater good? How might an unexpected or upsetting change be moving me toward my greater good? I find that to be the most healthy statement, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, every way, about the changes in our lives. How might that be helping us move toward our greater good? And I'm going to close with my favorite line from the book. Change is an announcement that something is not working. Change is an announcement that something is not working. Think about that. Namaste. So, flowing with change, let's flow right into our meditation. So, I invite you to get comfortable where you are, and you might need to wiggle a little bit. You've been sitting still for a bit. And as we begin to turn in, we acknowledge the nature of God. And God is infinite peace, infinite wisdom, infinite love, and infinite life. And all that God is, we can realize as the truth within us. We begin in celebration of our whole and holy power within, that power which is the Christ, our true nature. And so as we breathe in peace. And as we breathe out peace. In the knowledge of God and my divine nature, I cease mental confusion. I come into swift agreement or alignment of mind and heart, sure and steady. Nothing can disturb my peace of mind or my harmonious heart, for I am anchored in divine peace. In the knowledge of God and my divine nature, I lead my life by faith. The only evidence I need of fulfillment ahead is knowledge of my oneness with God. I faithfully place one foot in front of the other, confident and expectant. In the knowledge of God and my divine nature, I heal limiting thoughts about life. In God, there is no limit to life. In God, there is fullness and wholeness of life. Health, well-being, vitality are easily mine, and they are mine as I attune myself to divine life. In the knowledge of God and my divine nature, I embody divine love in the presence of others. My presence broadcasts harmony. I'm a voice of harmony, and I walk hand in hand with others, whether or not I share their worldview. I live in the harmony of divine flow. God of grace, in every season, in every moment, may I feel your presence calling me more fully into myself, remembering that I am your beloved child and that you are waiting for me always, always. Amen. This is the time in our celebration when we prepare the tithes or supporting gifts that we wish to give. We hold them in our hands and we bless them freely. And so if you'll do just that, there is no lack or limitation. Freely I give, and freely I receive from God's abundance. I am blessed as I give, and unity is blessed in receiving. Now, we don't pass a basket, but I'm going to ask Sandy, would you take the basket to each person so we're not passing from hand to hand, and just drop your offering in it? And Bonnie, if by chance you had a chance to fill out that blue card, just throw that in the basket. Thank you so much. Let's prepare for our musical gift from Kevin.
Okay, so I wrote a new song since the last time I was here last month, and it's called Change Myself for Good, kind of like for the better. So see how well that worked out?
Yeah.
The great thing was like 2 days after I wrote it, Reverend Mary sees me and she says, "Hey, Kev, I'm going to be talking about change next month. So if you can find a song about change, it would be great." Already done. Check the box, you know. Anyways, this is meant to put an exclamation point on Mary's message today. Today's the day I change myself for good, all good. Finally start all those things that I always wished I would. It's a great new day and I'm alive. I'm gonna do more than just survive. Today's the day I change myself for good. Today's the day that I align with spirit. Embrace the change, 'cause I no longer fear it.
Thank you, dear.
Wake up right with love in my heart and hope and kindness, a brand new start. Today's the day I change myself for good. I've wandered and I've wondered if things could ever change. Perhaps I'm stuck in such a rut, my life's been prearranged. But now I know that isn't true, and if I can change, well then so can you. Today's the day we change ourselves for good. Today's the day that I reach out in love, pure love, by a phone call or an email or any other way that I think of. 'Cause smiles and kind words lift us up when we find ourselves down in the muck. So today's the day I will reach out in love. I've wandered and I've wondered if things could ever change. Perhaps I'm stuck in such a rut, my life's been prearranged. But now I know that isn't true, and if I can change, well then so can you. Today's the day we change ourselves for good. Today's the day I change myself for good, all good. Finally start all those things that I always wished I would. Today's the day I stop regretting, no more excuses, I'll just get getting. Today's the day I change my life for good. Today's the day we stop regretting, no more excuses, let's just get getting. Today's the day we change ourselves for good.
Woo!
Thank
Thank you, Kev. So we have a few announcements that I want to share with you today. And the first one is da 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 da. I'm waiting for the guy to do that. That we continue our midweek meditation. It's time to invest a little bit of spiritual time in your own spiritual practice. It's available on our Facebook page and our website, and we have different leaders each week. So the meditation times differ. Some are shorter, some are longer. But in case you can't even take 7 minutes, at least take 2 minutes every day at 12 noon. Bless our center, bless our community, bless our state, bless the US of A, bless the world. We need to continually focus on blessing and uplifting so that we can heal the many challenges that are present in our world. The minister's book study continues on Thursday mornings, 9:15 to 10:45. It's on Zoom. She is a fabulous writer. I just love her writing. And we are learning a lot. So if you're interested, please contact me or Reverend Pat so we can get your email address and invite you into the Zoom book study. Every Thursday following the book study is our silent unity prayer service. You don't have to do one to do the other. Again, we do need your email to invite you into our circle of prayer. If you can't be there and on the email, on the Zoom, certainly give us your prayer request at our phone number, the office phone number. Earth Day Music with David Roth. It's Thursday the 22nd. That's this week, 6:30 Central Time. You can see him via Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube. His music is always uplifting and gives us a chuckle as well. It is free, but if you can make a donation, that is wonderful to help support David in his music. I want to remind you that today and every Sunday following fellowship, we're going to say 11:45 now, right? Joanne, Reverend Bauman, is the one who is the leader for the Course in Miracles study group. So I have keys and a book for you. Don't let me forget. Okay. And then Mother's Day service is coming up on the 9th of May. Reverend Pat Schlick will be doing the message. We have gifts for the moms, and it's Pat Schlick's farewell address, I guess you would say, as she prepares to move to St. Paul to be near more of her kids. And we will have a reception following her message on that morning. Oh, I jumped out of order. Well, okay. Course in Miracles is every Sunday. It says 12, but we're doing it saying 11:45. So we really love to have people participate. Dr. VJ returns the first weekend in June. A weekend of teaching begins with supper on Saturday night, and he is the chef, followed by teaching and music. On Sunday, he'll just say hi during the service, but then Sunday after fellowship, he will resume his teaching. So his theme for this weekend that he's here is oneness. And that certainly is the theme of unity, finding the heart, the oneness of all spiritual paths. So I'm sure it'll be a great time. And he has wonderful stories to share always. So we look forward to that. Okay, will you join me as we speak together the second verse of America the Beautiful? Oh, beautiful, compassionate shores where dreams and hope are born, where kindness and civility can weather any storm. America, America, God heal this great divide. Let fear release, rekindle peace, till all our hearts unite, you and me, from sea to shining sea. And we'll stand for the peace song and leave your mask on and give it your best. We're fine. You know, we always sing that song when we're holding hands in a circle and we're always swaying and we're still swaying. We always raise our hands on high. I mean, it's the highest affirmation of peace, I think. But let us now speak the words of our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And that's the truth. And that's the truth. And so it is. So we look forward to seeing you next time. If you can't be here in the morning on live stream, you can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, or on the website later in the day. Thank you so much for attending.